Hi, I'm Dr. Chad Larson. We're going to interrupt our series talking about different nutrients to talk about a really important botanical. This botanical I've been using my entire career, and it's really fantastic. And I've written about it. I've talked about it in other videos, and so I just want to keep bringing this back around because it's something that everybody needs to know about. It's really, I think, underappreciated in medicine in general, and it's something that's powerful. Think of, how about if there is a substance that did the following things? It helps to be significantly and strongly antiviral. It is anti-inflammatory. It's a powerful antioxidant, and there's some evidence that suggests that it's helpful for your cardiovascular system and for your blood sugar regulation. So these are the things that that elderberry does. So elderberry, so there's the black American elder tree, which produces this amazing fruit called elderberry, or Sambucus nigra, and it's a very, very powerful substance. And this goes way, way back. It's been used for human medicine for thousands and thousands of years. In fact, Hippocrates said that his elder tree was his medicine chest. And the reason why is because all those attributes that I just mentioned. It's a multi-systemic botanical that has lots of really, really interesting effects because there's some really amazing constituents that are within elder. And it's been studied pretty thoroughly. I always wish that there's more studies on botanicals, but it's clearly demonstrated a strong antiviral effect. So the way this works in studies, I'm thinking of one study that was published that basically separated the subjects into two different groups. They all had influenza, and one group took the elderberry extract, and the other group was a control group, and they did not take anything. Those that were taking the elderberry extract had recovered 4 days faster than the control group. There's other studies that evaluated the difference between two different groups, and the group that was taking the elderberry extract noticed significant improvement of their flu symptoms within 24 hours. So, and there's multiple studies that demonstrate a similar kind of thing. And there's probably multiple reasons why elderberry has this strong antiviral effect. One of the reasons is that it's full of these antioxidants that we've talked about before, like anthocyanidins and polyphenols. These are these antioxidant constituents that are really, really powerful, but they're not talked about as much because we don't have a deficiency status for it. There's not a condition like with certain nutrients we've talked about before, like pellagra and scurvy and beriberi and rickets. All these conditions are defined by a nutrient that they're deficient in. If you're deficient in a certain nutrient, then you can develop these named conditions. But there's no named condition for deficiency of paranthocyanins or of polyphenols or of these amazing constituents that are found in certain foods that everybody really needs to get them, but there's no well-defined quantity that we're supposed to be getting. There's no RDA for these. So, but I think a lot of the chronic conditions that we're suffering from today are basically signs that we're deficient in these nutrients, but it just hasn't been clearly studied and defined and identified. So this is one of the reasons why elderberry has this great medicinal effect on the human body. But also it's really high in some key nutrients that we are aware of, like vitamin C and vitamin A. These are other antioxidants. In fact, the vitamin A level is really, really high for a single botanical, a single berry. If you take equal amounts of, let's say, blueberries, and you compare that to elderberries, I think it's the study showed 100 grams of elderberry compared to 100 grams of blueberry. The blueberry had about 60 60 international units of vitamin A. Elderberry had 600 international units of vitamin A. And the blueberry, I think, was the closest thing to it. All the other berries, strawberries, I mean, the other berries were tested and they didn't even come close in the vitamin A. And I've always talked about vitamin A as a very underappreciated nutrient for the mucosal immune system. The mucosal immune system is the immune system that lines your whole upper respiratory system and your gastrointestinal tract. It's like your body's first line of immune defense. And so I think that's another reason why elderberry is so key. But there's some constituents in elderberry that does something very unique. Sometimes when viruses are talked about, you might have heard things like H1N1 or H2N3. H1N1 was, the swine flu, the 2008 swine flu, 2009. And this was an H1N1 virus. The H and the N are components of the virus that scientists can use to identify what type of virus it is. The H stands for hemagglutinin, and the N is a neuraminidase. It's an enzyme. So the H and the N kind of describe certain characteristics about the virus. Here's what the understanding is. At least one study talked about the way that elderberry kind of affects the hemagglutinin and the neuraminidase. So basically the H and the N of these viruses, these are sort of the legs that latch on to your cells that allow the virus to sort of inject itself into your cells so that it can replicate. What elderberry, some constituent in the elderberry does is it helps to kind of knock those legs off. It helps to kind of block the H and the N from infiltrating your cells. So that's a very direct antiviral effect that elderberry has. My patients would recognize elderberry as one of the three amigos that I talk about, especially this time of year. And we use elderberry, we use a certain type of echinacea called Echinacea angustifolia, and then we use kind of a broad spectrum antiviral herbal blend. And with some people, I have them take all three at the onset of symptoms, and it's really strongly antiviral. So people now oftentimes come in the office asking for the three amigos, and those are the three: the sambucus, which is the elderberry, the Echinacea angustifolia, and coupling that with this really great antiviral combination herbal tincture. So elderberry is something that I've used, like I said, my whole career. It has some really, really fascinating components to it. I mentioned before that it seems to have some effect on some cardiovascular risk factor markers, and it also seems to improve blood sugar balance. And so that, coupled with the antioxidant effect, the anti-inflammatory effect, and the direct antiviral effect, it's a very unique botanical, and it's something that we should all have in our medicine chest. And there's so many different ways that you can take it. You just want to go with a really reliable source. Make sure that it's actually from a good company that knows what they're doing. And there's multiple different forms. There's syrups, there's tinctures, there's gummies, multiple ways that you can take elderberry, lozenges, a bunch of different things. But something that you should look a little more into, and definitely has as part of your medicine chest because of this very unique effect that it has on the body, especially this time of year. So hopefully you learned something. Enjoy your elderberry. I wish there was elderberries here. I'm in Southern California, and unfortunately the Sambucus nigra is just not native to Southern California. But there's lots of other parts of the United States where it is, so people can actually just walk out their door, go and harvest their own supply. But unfortunately here in Southern California, I just have to keep purchasing it, which I will definitely keep doing. And I hope you learned something. I'll keep reading the studies and bringing you the information. Until then, keep it real.